Welcome to the 15th episode of MCQ of the day. Let's dive into the MCQ. You can pause the screen and read the whole MCQ over here, but the funda is the bottom line is that a baby was born and in the newborn screening he was found to have elevated phenylalanine levels, and then he was started on a phenylalanine restricted diet. Now the baby is 3 months and he is having poor head control and decreased spontaneous movements. Means the baby is born with phenylalanine, high phenylalanine levels, kept on a low phenylalanine diet, and it's been 3 months but still the baby is having poor head control and he has decreased spontaneous movements. Now you check his phenylalanine levels and they are in the normal range, and the parents are also saying that he is on a strict diet, and the infant is showing hypotonia, reduced facial expression, minimal social smile, and so basically the thing is that there is neurological damage, and even if the phenylalanine levels are low and they are in the normal range, then what is causing this neurological damage in this baby? That this baby is not developing and he is showing these CNS signs like truncal hypotonia, etc. So we'll see that he has high prolactin levels. This is another thing, that the prolactin levels are high. Phenylalanine levels are normal but prolactin levels are high. Now the metabolic analysis suggests there is a defector in the regeneration of cofactor of hydroxylation of aromatic amino acids and synthesis of catecholamines and serotonin. He is basically giving you a clue over here. So what is this condition? This is a you know this or not know this. There is not that much of reasoning over here. So let's first understand what is the basics of this condition. So let's start from the basics. What is phenylketonuria? Phenylketonuria is a metabolic disorder where there is toxic buildup. Remember this, that there is toxic buildup of phenylalanine. What is phenylalanine? Phenylalanine is an essential amino acid. Essential means you have to take it from the diet. The body cannot synthesize it on itself. You have to take it from the diet. Now normally what happens is when you take phenylalanine from the diet, it's get converted into tyrosine. Tyrosine is non-essential because tyrosine you can take from the diet, or what you can do is you can body can convert it from phenylalanine if you take phenylalanine, and then we go that then we see that this tyrosine further forms many different things, like your example, your dopamine or epinephrine, norepinephrine, melatonin, and number of things are forming from this. Don't try to mug up everything, but basically remember that phenylalanine gives tyrosine. Tyrosine gives many things like dopamine, melatonin, which are required for the body for many activities. So what happens over here in phenylketonuria is, due to some things which I'll discuss, what happens is there is toxic buildup of phenylalanine, and this toxic buildup of phenylalanine causes these problems. And once there is a toxic buildup of this, and this cannot get converted to this, now your tyrosine becomes an essential amino acid. Now the baby has to take tyrosine in the diet. Now your phenylketonuria is of two types, classic and BH₄ deficiency. Now if we see both of these types, basically I told you in the last slide itself that to convert phenylalanine into tyrosine we need two things. First thing is we need an enzyme, and that enzyme is phenylalanine hydroxylase, PAH. Okay? So if this enzyme is defective, this enzyme is defective, then there is a toxic buildup of phenylalanine. Then we have got phenylketonuria. That happens in 95% of the cases, but what happens in 5% of the cases is that there is no problem with this enzyme. This enzyme is normal, but the problem is with the cofactor is BH₄. Now BH₄ is not only the cofactor for this, cofactor for many other important processes in the body. So whenever the patient is having phenylketonuria due to BH₄ deficiency, he is also having simultaneously other problems as well. Now how can there be BH₄ deficiency? The one of the causes of BH₄ deficiency is dihydropteridine reductase, which is nothing but BH₄. dihydropteridine is BH4, and dihydropteridine reductase is an enzyme. Now this enzyme is required in the recycling of BH4. So if this enzyme is defective, if this enzyme is defective, what's going to happen is BH4 is not going to get recycled. So what's going to happen is that even if you place the patient on a low phenylalanine diet, place the patient on a low phenylalanine diet, still he is going to have high phenylalanine levels. Why? Because absolute zero phenylalanine diet is not possible. Low phenylalanine diet is possible. Now if the patient is having classic phenylketonuria, you place him on the low diet and he is good to go. But if a patient is having this variety, which is BH4 deficiency variety, then you keep him on low phenylalanine diet, still he'll be having neurological symptoms, and then the prognosis is very bad. Okay. So even with dietary control, this is very important, which I have highlighted over here, that even with dietary control, the baby develops neurological symptoms when there is BH4 deficiency. Like I've been telling you since the beginning of this lecture that high phenylalanine level damages the brain. But how does this happen? This happens because like I like to use this image as the mnemonic, and on the brain there is this transporter called as LAT1. This LAT1 transporter is like a gateway. It's like the gate which allows the essential amino acids, neurotransmitters to go inside the brain and do their job. Now whenever there is a toxic buildup of phenylalanine stays here at the gate, doesn't let the other good things, the other neurotransmitters to go in. That's how phenylalanine damages the brain. Second thing is high phenylalanine can impair the myelination itself. Third thing is that high phenylalanine in high concentration is directly neurotoxic to the brain. So what's going to happen if whenever there is a toxic buildup of phenylalanine, which happens in PKU, phenylketonuria, the person develops brain damage, neurological damage. The baby, they develop neurological damage. So what is the presentation? The presentation is that these people, like I told you, if there is damage to the brain, there is going to be intellectual disability, the brain development is not going to be proper, so there is going to be microcephaly, there is going to be seizures, then there is going to be hypopigmentation. Why there is hypopigmentation? Because phenylalanine gets converted into tyrosine, and if there is less tyrosine, means less melanin. Tyrosine is required for melanin formation, so the baby is having microcephaly, the baby is having intellectual deficiency and seizures, and on top of that there is hypopigmentation, and these people have a musty odor from the urine. Now this is the classic presentation they give you in the exam, and they check if you can recognize it's phenylketonuria or not. If you can recognize it's phenylketonuria and they want to increase the difficulty, what they will say is that even with normal restricted diet of phenylalanine, the patient even with less dietary intake of phenylalanine is still having this neurological damage. Then the answer is not the deficiency of phenylalanine hydroxylase. It's not the deficiency of phenylalanine hydroxylase. Enzyme deficiency is not there. The problem is in the BH4. So now you understand the deficient. Now you understand the MCQ, that he was asking what is deficient. So in such MCQs you have to pick that it's the BH4 which is deficient. Alright, so that was today's MCQ of the day. Biochemistry MCQs are there really hard and they need a lot of mug up and repeated revisions. Hopefully this was helpful to you. If you like my channel, please subscribe to my channel, and you can watch the rest of the playlist of MCQ of the day over here. I'm going to be linking it. Bye bye. Thank you.